Sit down, my dear. This is the kind of story that ought to be told beside a fire, where the wind slips through the dark peaks of the Black Hills and the echo of horses' hooves still lingers in the earth. It is the story of a woman who earned her name from danger and death, yet deep down, she was far more than a legend, a solitary woman in a land that belonged to men. Her name was Martha Jane Cannery, but history remembers her by another, Calamity Jane. She was born in 1852 in Missouri to a poor family. Her parents dreamed of the fertile lands of the American West, so they packed up their wagon and set out for Montana, joining a caravan of wagons filled with dust and hopes that had yet to take shape. But the West showed little mercy. Her mother died along the journey, and not long afterward, so did her father. At just 13 years old, Martha found herself responsible for her younger brothers and sisters in a land as unforgiving as it was vast. Imagine it, a teenage girl with no home, no protector, surrounded by mountains and wilderness that even hardened men feared. It was there that Martha learned to take for herself what the world of men refused to give her. She mastered unruly horses, hunted to put food on the table, and became renowned for her marksmanship and horsemanship, skills that in that harsh country often meant the difference between life and death. She dressed in men's clothing, not out of whim or rebellion, but out of necessity. In a world where being a woman was seen as weakness, she chose strength, even if it meant sacrificing the femininity society expected of her. Where did the name Calamity come from? No one knows for certain. The origin of the nickname remains a matter of debate among historians. In her later memoirs, Calamity Jane claimed that she once saved an officer's life during a skirmish, after which he laughed and declared, "Anyone who crosses you is asking for calamity." Or perhaps the truth is simpler. A life marked by hardship and death caused the name to cling to her like a shadow. Calamity Jane worked many different jobs throughout her life. She drove freight wagons, cooked, and accompanied army camps, although there is no solid evidence that she ever served as an army scout. And for a time, she even worked as a nurse. Yes, a nurse. When a smallpox epidemic swept through the town of Deadwood, where men fought and died for gold, few dared to go near the sick. Yet Calamity Jane, the woman known for whiskey and revolvers, remained at their bedsides day and night. She cooled their fevers, wrapped the dead for burial, and gave hope to those who still lived. It is one of the most striking contradictions of her life. Outwardly rough and fearless, yet possessing a heart that beat with compassion even for strangers. Of course, part of her legend is forever entwined with another famous name, Wild Bill Hickok. Over the years, countless rumors claimed the two were lovers or even husband and wife, but no reliable evidence supports those stories. Most historians believe the romance was embellished later, either by Calamity Jane herself or by writers eager for a better tale. What is better established is that when Hickok was shot from behind and killed during a poker game in 1876, Calamity Jane mourned him for the rest of her life. Years later, she requested to be buried beside him in Mount Moriah Cemetery in Deadwood. Her wish was granted, and there, the two legends of the American frontier have rested side by side ever since. Calamity Jane's life, however, was never an easy one. She turned to alcohol, slipped back into poverty, drifted from one unstable job to another, and experienced relationships that never endured. Near the end of her life, she briefly appeared in traveling Wild West shows, the kind made famous by Buffalo Bill Cody, where she recounted stories of her adventures to audiences in the East. Those stories were not always entirely faithful to the truth. At times, she embellished them herself, knowing that people wanted legends, not the harsh reality of a lonely woman struggling to survive on the frontier. Her time on the stage did not last long. Her growing alcoholism made it impossible to continue. She died in 1903,
poor and alone at just 51 years old, a lifetime that seemed to contain enough adventure for 10 ordinary lives. Yet her death did not end the legend, it was only the beginning. Writers, filmmakers, and storytellers like me have passed her story from one generation to the next, sometimes close to the truth, sometimes wandering far from it. So who was Calamity Jane, really? Was she an outlaw, a forgotten hero, or simply a girl whom the Wild West forced to fight harder than any man just to survive? Perhaps the truth is that she was none of these things alone, but all of them together. A woman who lived, loved, fought, and endured on her own terms in a brutal land, and who, instead of fading into obscurity, carved her name permanently into the history of the American West. And so it was that Martha Jane Cannery, the poor daughter of a wagon train family, became Calamity Jane, a legend whose name still carries with it the scent of gunpowder and the dust of the Western trails whenever it is spoken.